Testing. Say something, Link.
Oh, wait. Testing.
Yep. Okay. We're good.
Testing.
We're live. Welcome to GT Radio on the Geek Therapy Network. Here at Geek Therapy, we believe that the best way to understand each other and ourselves is through the media we care about. My name is Jose Cardona, and I'm joined by Link Keller.
What's up, gamers?
And only Link Keller. Lara is on vacation from the show. What are we talking about today, Link?
We are talking about the Mitchells versus the Machines.
I'm so happy we're talking about this
new animated movie on Netflix. And it is very fun. And I watched it earlier this week, and I wanted to talk about it with you.
There's so much to talk about regarding this movie. I loved it. I loved it so much. It's so good. Where do you want to start? Just general reactions? I hope you got notes.
I thought about taking notes, but then I wanted to actually just sit and enjoy the movie. So I made myself put my notebook away. I know, so unlike me. But yeah, the animation is...
I don't believe you. I believe there
beautiful.
Are notes somewhere.
Well, in my smooth brain, there's a few rattling around in there.
Yep.
So it was animated by Sony Interactive Animation, the same people who did, or the same group who did Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is one of the most beautifully animated movies I've ever seen, and definitely my favorite superhero movie of all time. I don't know that I loved the Mitchells versus the Machines more than Into the Spider-Verse. Like, that's maybe unattainable, but I did really enjoy it, and you could absolutely see some of the really cool design elements they included in Spider-Verse were carried over into this new piece of animation. It was really fun. I love when they add the extra little squiggly lines on top. It's very fun.
Yep. I don't think they're different animation, right? Like, I think it's the same. They used all of the same tricks. Again, I'm sure there's something different, but there's something. Even the one of the coolest things about about Into the Spider-Verse was that the people from the different dimensions were illustrated at different frames per second.
Yeah, they were animated not exactly how they would have been animated in the time that they were referencing, but using similar techniques to pull that like realness of like, this is like noir comic book, and this is Looney Tunes style comic style. It's really fun.
And so here I think they did it with the drawings on top, right? With all the sketches and stuff. Those seem to absolutely look like they were drawings come to life versus the other animation. So I think they did that mixture too. Yeah. It was so cool.
They did. They also had some parts were 2D animated, some parts were 3D animated, some parts were more like stop motion style. They included some like live action pieces that were included in there, which adds this like extra cool collage effect, which really fit the sort of vibe that they were going for. Some really, really cool stuff. This is a movie I'm going to definitely watch again, if only so that I can spot more cool animation things.
It was just so much fun. It was so good. It was so good. Yeah. I think I had seen a TikTok about it, and then I sent it to all my friends, and then it wasn't until you told me this is what we're talking about, so you have to watch it. So thank you, because otherwise I would have. I don't think I would have watched it yet.
Okay, so I was on Twitter, and I don't remember who posted it. I don't remember even like what they said. I just remember that somebody posted an opinion about the Mitchells versus the Machines. And I was like, And then one of my friends posted in our group Discord, and it was like, watch it now. And they are one of my animation snob friends who have very specific tastes when it comes to animation, and that was a sell point for it. I was like, okay, I'll check it out.
What was the
But yeah,
opinion on Twitter that you saw?
I don't remember. I think it was like somebody was saying it was nice, but, and then like they
Ah,
elaborated on that. But I don't. I do
yeah.
like my brain did not save that information.
No, there was. Yeah, no.
I
Where
have
to
some
start?
critiques, but
Okay, okay.
I will save them for later. I think that there are more joyful awesomeness to be considered before we get to the more critical stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah.
my favorite thing about it was there was how spoilery can we be? Basically, there's a lot of like one of the themes obviously is that this main character Katie, she loves animation. So like the movie in many ways is like we're seeing things from her perspective in a way. So the sketches, the 2D animation and all these things, that's her style. Like we're seeing it the way we're seeing the world the way she does. And she's got this relationship with her father that is, like the father just doesn't get her. Right? There's those
Hmm.
moments where it's like, I don't he doesn't understand me. You never like
Parents just don't
they
understand.
just don't understand. And I mean that's a thing that we talk about so much. It's
Hmm.
this I don't think that there's a worse um thing to do to someone who cares about you or you care about who than like just completely disregard or take a dump on the things that they like or that they enjoy, like the things that are meaningful to them, right? And this is so
Yes.
meaningful to her, and her father is just like
Her
uh
dad absolutely yucks her yum, and it's something that we
yucks,
talk
yep.
about on this show regularly is like don't yuck people's yum. It doesn't have to
mm,
be your yum, but don't
mm.
yuck it because you never know when that yuck is gonna stab you deep into your soul and make you want to abandon your whole family because it hurts so bad.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Guess what, parents, nobody can dig that knife deeper.
Yeah.
No one can yuck harder than you. Oh, it hurts. Yeah, and then there's like the opposite versions of that, right? Where she finally like, oh, she's like, oh, I found my people, and there are people who
Hmm.
appreciate what I do, and and the brother, right, where the brother's using the metaphor of like, hey, like dinosaurs are his thing, right? It's like
Hmm.
his special interest, just like his favorite thing in the world, and he's like, like, do you think that if two raptors like like one raptor leaves the pack, like do you think
It's
the other
like,
raptor would be okay? Yeah.
raptors, uh, they hunt in pairs. And what is going to happen when one of the raptors goes away and there's only one raptor left behind? I was just like, I love you,
And
baby.
right, and Katie doesn't miss a beat, right? She's like, she
No.
knows exactly what's happening, she knows exactly what he's talking about, and that's the way they communicate, right? In a way, and like that's a theme throughout the show. And later on, we see it when like one of the movies that she made, one of the videos. It's like there's no like it's an analogy. It's not even a metaphor. It's an analogy.
Hmm.
Just replace the names and the people in the frame. The story is there, and and it's such a meaningful way for like that's her language. That's the way that she communicates things, and to see that kind of play out and be successful was so satisfying because I'm
Hmm.
always looking for media for like meta media, right? That explains what we're trying to what we're always talking about here on the show, but that shows it like in media itself, like happening. I love that extra layer of it.
Me too.
It's very, very satisfying. Very, very satisfying. It happens a lot, and it's so good, so good.
Yeah, I mean, Katie gives such a good example of like dinosaurs aren't her obsession, but she understands that that's what her brother Aaron is really, 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 really into. And
Hmm.
so she supports him in that. They have a little raptor fist bump thing, which is very cute.
Yeah,
And it's such a loving way to support, somebody else's interests. Um, but then, it's not like he's expecting her to completely overextend in that way. It's like he understands that she has her own things and that's, making YouTube films basically. And so he helps with that. And so it's like
yeah,
a really cool way that they support each other and their personal interests and understanding like, oh, that like you really, really love this thing. And not only is that cool to witness, but it's cool to participate with you in.
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, love that. Yep. So I'm adding it to my list of like Geek Therapy examples, meta
Mhm.
examples. I like it.
Yes.
It's good. I don't want to say like more details of it just because it's so good and satisfying in the movie, but just watch it. Like if any of this sounds good, like, go watch. It's on Netflix. Actually, I re-upped my subscription to Netflix just to watch the movie.
Wow. You
It's
hear that, Netflix?
I'm just,
You're welcome. I did this for you.
I'm sure that's probably the most valuable metric that Netflix.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's like you subscribe and then you saw it
That's the
immediately
one that
right
they
here.
use.
Yep. Unfortunately, probably because of that, we're gonna get 2 unnecessary sequels or something like that. Yeah. Hopefully, they just let Sony Studios do more movies.
Just let them do more stuff.
Yeah. Whew, yeah.
Beautiful. So beautiful.
No, I have other favorite things in the movie, but what else is on your list?
Well, if we're trying not to be spoilery, some of my favorite parts are definitely like spoiling.
Let's just spoil. Let's just
Spoiling. We're spoiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When should we briefly describe the plot of this movie?
I mean, it's probably a good idea.
Okay. Katie Mitchell, our most main character of the Mitchell family, who is the main characters.
Mitchells, yep.
Katie, who is voiced by Abby Jacobson, is going off to college to be a film major. She has historically felt misunderstood by her parents, especially, maybe also her brother, but mostly her parents, especially her dad, who does not make an effort in the same way that her mom does. Her mom misses the mark, but is still trying. Her dad isn't really trying. And so she's about to leave. There's this family conflict, and dad, as voiced by Danny McBride, who did a great job, he decided that I got to fix the family, and the way to fix the family is to trap the family in a car for a cross-country trip. That's great and fun, and it is not a huge messed up thing that I canceled your plane ticket without consulting you. That's not weird. That's not kind of fucked up at all.
And you had plans for tonight, but like, it's okay.
And so they go on this road trip. Katie is not into it, but is talked into at least trying from her mom. And mostly because her brother is like, but it would be nice to spend some more time with you before you leave. Which are like, that kid nailed it. Like, yeah, get her. And so while they are on this family road trip, the robot apocalypse happens.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Mark,
the CEO of this
Mark
tech
Bowman, the CEO of not Apple, PAL, PAL, who is voiced by Eric Andre. I'm a big fan. It was very weird. Took me a while to place his voice, but he upgrades his tech and is rude to his pal phone, who is like voiced by Olivia Colman, and is one of the highlights of the movie is her voice acting as like an angry Siri, basically yelling out of a phone.
A hurt Siri.
Yeah,
he was not rude. He was just like cruel.
Yeah, that was not very nice.
No.
But yeah, so she takes over control of all the robots and decides that the best way to deal with people is to isolate them in little cubes, hexagon cubes, and I guess shoot them off into space. And then the family is basically, the Mitchells are the only family that's really left out there. They haven't been captured yet, and so they have to save the planet from the apocalypse. And it's fun because they're leaning on the dysfunctional family tropes, and so it's like dysfunctional family saves the world, which is classic, enjoyable.
Well, that's my the dysfunctional family part is what I like the most, because
Yes.
they never use like that. I don't think they ever use that word or anything or any way to do it. Right? They're like, oh, we're not normal, right?
Yes.
Other families are, and I kept thinking about a TikTok that you sent me the other day, where this person was saying that like I don't remember if this was, I'm paraphrasing. I was like, you're not ugly, you're normal shaped, right? And just like I love that video so much because it was this idea like what is
Nature
normal?
shaped.
Nature
You're
shaped.
nature
You're nature
shaped.
shaped.
We
Like,
don't say, wow, this octopus is like got too many legs and it's too squishy. It's like,
mm-hmm.
no, that's the shape octopuses are supposed to be.
Yep. Yep.
So
And
you are nature shaped. You are the shape you are meant to be.
exactly.
I love that.
I
Yeah.
love that video so much. And I kept thinking about that idea throughout all of this, right? Because that's the idea. It's like, oh, we're not a normal family. There's no such thing.
Mm-mm.
But
Nope.
and there's they have that the John Legend Chrissy Teigen family,
Yeah.
um which
Pretty
is
pretty on the nose.
yep.
That was pretty funny.
Yep. I didn't
Yeah,
know it was. I
they
didn't
played
realize it was them
oh
until I saw the credits. I was like,
once
oh,
once John Legends spoke, both of them clicked into place for
yeah,
me. But it was definitely at first I was like, oh yeah, they play the perfect next door neighbors, the Posies,
yeah.
and
Pussies.
they have the Instagram perfect life, and
Hmm.
that's something that the mom strives after.
But you used the word
Is
dysfunctional before, right? And like in many ways,
yes,
like they demonstrated that they were functional in a way, right? Like they had a plan, they could
yes.
execute it, they could get from point A to point B.
I
Um,
think the major dysfunction in the family is along the lines of emotional intelligence rather than being able to cohesively work as a family. It's the relationship between the dysfunction is in the relationship between dad and everybody else, basically,
yeah.
and
But I
him
like
not
the
wanting to shift so much.
but I like this idea of like just the words that we use to describe these things, right?
Mhm.
Because like again, you said dysfunctional. Like then what's a functional family, right? Like then what does that mean if you're function? What isn't functioning? What functions are functioning? And then but they kept saying like we're not normal. But like what is a normal family? I don't think it's the posies, right? Like what is normal exactly? And they never. I like the way they play with that, right? They're like, oh no, like we're just like we're us, like in like there's that one piece of the identity, not even the connections in between them, because ultimately like they all care about each other, right? Like
Mhm.
there's some hard, rough yucking of yums, but it's like he's doing it because like he's scared for her. Like I understand the reasoning for it, right? There's definitely a lot of love in the family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not good, but there is a consistent internal logic to the way that the dad behaves, and it's
No.
and this is something I feel like this movie was maybe aimed more towards like the adult people in like it is a family movie. It's for the family, but
Hmm.
instead of being aimed for children, I feel like it's more aimed at the adults. And that is one of the things is being able to really understand and even relate to why the dad behaves the way that he does, but then
Yeah.
also recognizing like that's doing harm to his daughter and to his relationship with his daughter. And, maybe that gives you a little bit of space to think about, your own relationships and think about those sort of things. Is like, are there things that I am being inflexible about? Or are there things that I am reacting to based on my own past experiences, specifically negative past experiences, and having those, fears and traumas shape the way that you are interacting with somebody else? And, if you are in a position of power over somebody, say their parent,
Hmm.
that can carry really, really well in ways that you may not have expected or wanted. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I want, it's like yeah, it's again, it's always hard to see and sad, but I'm glad they figured it out in the end. That it's it doesn't feel good. Um, yeah. Oh, there's so many things about the movie that I like. But all this, yeah, all the family stuff. I mean, there's so many different examples and things to be able to touch on. I guess I don't know if I've like none of the things that we're talking about are like revolutionary in terms of like the themes and the ideas that are being presented. But damn,
No,
is it so much fun and it looks
this is
so good?
definitely a this is definitely all of the pieces of this movie have been done before, but they are brought together in a fresh new way that is a very enjoyable viewing experience.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Um,
most movies aren't doing
Most
anything.
movies are,
Yeah. But this,
particularly ones aimed at families
yeah,
because
but
you want to make money.
yeah, but it's like sometimes when we're having conversations about different shows, and I'm like, I feel like I've explained this before many times, and we already have other examples, but like it's always good to have another really good example to point to, and one that's so relatable and again just fun because
And
it's
fresh.
fun, it's fresh, fun and fresh,
It's
fresh and
fresh,
fun.
fun and fresh.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that was we covered the plot. My favorite part is when they are in the mall and they fight the Furbies. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
The giant Furby.
What
Dark day of reckoning is upon us.
the, there there are times. I mean, I don't know. I laugh pretty loud when so like it's like those were I laughed so hard during during that scene. It was just again. Sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, was this movie made for me? Right? Like I could. So this is actually something that I've thought about. I wasn't thinking of going in this direction, but on our anime show Otaku Ryoho, we've talked often about how inaccessible anime can be. Like sometimes I'm like, this is my favorite thing right now, and I don't have anybody to share it with. There's no way I would recommend this to 99% of the people that I know. And sometimes I remember like watching a movie with certain people next to me and feeling uncomfortable, right? Especially because I'm like, they either don't understand this, they're not going to find it as funny. Just the fact that someone else doesn't find it as funny as I do already like reduces the experience for me. You know what I'm talking about? You understand this?
No,
You don't?
I
Oh,
laugh harder.
it
I mean, I do. I understand where you're coming from. There have absolutely been situations in which I am showing something that I particularly like, and I'm like, "This is it. You're gonna love this." And I show it to them, and they're not. They're like, that one hurts. That one hurts a little bit." But
I mean, if I'm at a 10 and you're at a 9, even that hurts a little bit, right? But like, I'm talking about like, I'm at a 10 and 9 and 8, and you're like at a 4 or like negative, right? Is the worst part. It's like, you think that's or like, why am I the only one laughing out loud in the theater?
See, that one I have less of a problem with because I like to go and see horror movies, and laughing at inopportune times soothes me and reduces my anxiety. And that has positively reinforced that it does not matter if nobody else is laughing. The laughter is for me. It's about me. It's not about you.
That's funny. It would bother me if someone was laughing at something, but I'd never think about it being like it might be like a coping mechanism or something, like a way to, it's like, oh, this person is scared, but like laughing is just like physically more easier to handle than like, grasping the seat and like, having a panic attack.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, but that was one of those scenes where I was like, this is so funny.
This was made for me.
And I was like, I'm so glad like nobody else was here to ruin this for me.
Yeah, no, I loved that. I loved the Furbies. I loved the giant Furby. It was great. I liked the robot friends that had they got smushed, so their brains were a little messed up, and they were very funny. I liked them. They were sweet. The boys.
It was just so good. It's just a lot of good jokes. Just such good jokes.
All of the stuff with Monchi. The family has a pug named Monchi, and one of the ways that they are able to defeat the robots is that the robots cannot place whether this pug is
The,
a dog, a pig, or a loaf of bread.
yep. The
That
AI is trying to identify what it is,
yeah,
and it
the AI can't
breaks. It cannot do
identify.
it. It's too hard.
Yeah, that was a very solid joke, and I liked how they played it out. And the pug was cute. Monchi was very cute.
It was so good. It was so good. It was so good. But yeah, but I'm curious to see what my sister and my niece and nephew will think of it. I think they'll enjoy it, or at least different parts of it.
Hmm.
And yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah. Do you think it's accessible though? Like because like it feels like I can show clips and things. Like I'm just thinking again of some people that I'm like, I don't know if they would like the fact that there's like this like 2 minutes in, right? There's a YouTube clip, right, that gets like spliced in, right? And I'm like, oh, like this is a 2021 movie, right? This is
Hmm.
like correct for the times. You know, the way the animation is, the so many things in the movie just feel current. And yeah. I'm just curious. It seems to be getting a lot of love, though. I think it seems to be getting a lot of appreciation. But yeah, it's almost too bright. It's like right. It's like I don't know. I freaking
Yeah,
no.
I can see how some people would find it sort of frenetic in its
Yeah,
art
yeah.
style. I think if you can get, past the first 15 minutes or so and you aren't completely overwhelmed with the visual effects, that the story will hook you enough that you'll be okay. But yes, I can definitely understand
Well, like I can
people who
imagine.
don't watch,
Yeah,
like that kind of, Lego movie style, like big animation, lots of things going on, um, bright colors, high saturation, high contrast.
like at the end, towards the end of the movie, there is a character that basically gets a power up, and and I don't know. I was thinking like I can imagine my mom being like, oh, like up to that point she's buying everything, but at that point she'd be like, it got unrealistic, and I'm like, now it got unrealistic, you know? Like even within the context of the movie,
If she says that to you, I want you to say to her, like, Mom, in my heart, you can do that stuff too.
I could maybe that would lead to a wonderful conversation.
It's
Yeah,
like,
it's a
Mom,
metaphor, mom.
you
It's a
know
metaphor.
that you were that like strong, brave protector for me, Mom. Did you know?
Yeah. That's good. That's good, Link. That's a really good. That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
And then if you need to dunk on a dad, there's free stuff to go around.
There's a lot there. Yeah. But I thought about that. Like again, as someone who watches anime a lot, that was an anime. That was a very anime thing that happens towards the end, and I loved it. It was very satisfying, incredibly satisfying, and logic
Was.
defying, and it was great. But I often it's a curse. I can't just watch stuff, right? Like I'm thinking about like other. I'm trying to watch it with like four different sets of eyes at the same time, right? Like different people's perspectives, and I'm
Mhm.
also taking notes up here, right? And I'm looking at it from lots of different. But the movie is frantic enough that it was hard to do that. I was mostly enjoying it. It was good.
Yeah.
It was very fast. Didn't give me much time to process anything. That was
I
in a
mean,
way it was good.
it felt similar to maybe even more so than Spider Verse, but the animators want you to like not catch everything
Hmm.
because then you come back and you catch it and you get that moment of being like, oh, that's so cool. And so I think that this movie leaned into that idea of being like, look, we're on Netflix. Everybody's kind of at home watching Netflix. Like, let's give them a movie that they can really chew on for a couple of viewings, depending on how into that your kids are.
Lots of detail. Lots of details there.
Hmm.
Yeah. No. I loved it. Did it make you think of any like other I mean, that's the thing, right? Like up until Spider-Verse, like there was no other movie that looked that way, and now we have two movies that look that way. I can barely compare it to anything else. I can't stop thinking about Spider-Man.
It's got a lot of overlap with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, but I haven't actually seen that movie, so I can't speak to like the detailed aspects of it, but there is definitely overlap in those.
I don't.
And then
I
Gravity Falls is another one where you can see, or I can see how Gravity Falls has influenced some of the choices that they made in the movie.
Yep. No, that one definitely. It's like a feeling.
Mhm.
The DreamWorks films, I don't know. I think the animation is different enough. Like I didn't. Again, like it's so. I'm like, oh, this is the studio that made the Spider-Verse, or this company is copying the studio that made Spider-Verse. Or like I didn't even have to look it up. I'm like, I'm pretty damn
Yep.
sure this is the same. I don't think that any other.
Spiders.
Yeah. It's like I'm pretty sure no other company is capable of doing this yet. Other people, it's like, yeah. I don't, it's also very funny to go. It's like when you think of Toy Story, and we still reference Toy Story, like it looks amazing, and then you go back and you see it, and you're like, why? That does
It's a
not
long
look
time
that good. It
ago.
was a
It's
long
a
time ago.
long time ago.
Yeah. So a lot of those DreamWorks movies, like they're, yeah. I mean, they look
And
fine.
Toy
They look
Story
good.
was the first 3D one? Is that right?
Uh, I I think it's the first. They made a big jump, right? Like there were other like 3D animated things, but I think it's the first one. Like Pixar created new technology to do something like this. It's probably the first full length 3D animated movie.
Pulling it up.
Yeah, gotta pull it
It
up.
was the first entirely computer animated feature film.
Hmm.
There we go. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, it made a leap. But just the technology, like I'm watching stuff from
Yeah.
like the
They
90s when
would
it's like, but it's like when we talk about like the PlayStation era games, right? PlayStation 1 and 2, right? And you look
you're
at
like,
those
"Oh yeah, that was so cool. I loved that part. Oh, yeah." And
well,
then you see pictures and you're like,
it was the jump, right? It was
"It's a
like,
triangle."
yeah, it's like, oh, 16-bit, and we're like, no, now everything's, everything has changed. We're at this other level now. And then when you see it now, you're like, looks disgusting. Why did we think that was better than 16-bit, right? Like it was a huge shift, but in CGI, it's the same way. It's like the Advent Children. You watched Advent Children recently?
I did.
So that movie, but it does not. The animation does not look. The detail does not look like the remake. Final Fantasy VII remake looks way better than
Oh
Advent
yeah,
Children does, and
absolutely.
I'm really curious that they're re-releasing it in 4K now, and I wonder how much better it's going to look because the Final Fantasy 15 movie, Kingsglaive, looks amazing. Like the animation is like now, like top tier, like hyper realistic looking stuff, but it looks and very Final Fantasy, but it's beautiful. But yeah, but going back, it's those types of things like the Toy Story and Advent Children are two that I've tried to revisit recently. I'm like, what? But a lot of it is those small. It is like sometimes it's just a lack of detail. Like you look at it and you're like, everything look. It's not just a choppiness, right? Or of like even like, oh, this isn't as like it's not even smooth, right? It's not even that. It's like it's so basic. You look at Toy Story 4 versus Toy Story 1, and you're like, how did these? I know it's the same thing, but there's enough of a difference. Yeah, it's a huge stuff. But this is just beautiful, right? They're like,
It
you know what?
is.
This world isn't beautiful enough. Let's add 2D drawings on top of it, and also mix stuff in simultaneously. It's so good. It looks so good.
It's a playground of fun times, and it's lovely. I love that aspect. It not only because it looks so cool, but it really adds to the theming of talking about how different these family members are from each other,
Hmm.
and yet they go together. And I love having that reflected in the art style as well. Their faces are all very distinctly designed. They look related to each other, but they all have like very individual character designs, like top tier ones, by the way. I love that. I love in animation when we get to see uh, exaggerated features and stuff that are not realistic, but the stylization adds like so much to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
movie does that well.
yeah. No. It's again. I don't know. I guess if you hadn't noticed, we think it's a good looking movie. It's a really good.
It's pretty.
Yeah. And Yeah, I mean, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to see it like 4K HDR, the whole thing. I'm like, oh, it's just, oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It helps. Yeah. There was a part when the father, I think it was the father at the end, where he said like, I can finally see the world the way you see it, which is when it like really hit me. And like, oh, like we're seeing the whole movie is kind of in many ways seeing it like it's her flair. But something you just said makes me think, do you think it's also, do you think there's elements of that mixing from the others also?
Yeah, like the parts where they do the flashback to the old house that dad built,
Mm-hmm.
and when he was like having to say goodbye to this thing that was his dream, and
How
having to
was,
choose his family over that. The way that that area looked and the
mm-hmm.
way that he moved through those areas felt distinct from the way that she saw him in the family home and the way he moved through those areas.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
I don't know that we necessarily got so much from Mom or Aaron, but definitely, I guess there were a couple of parts when they were on the road trip that felt a little bit more angled towards them, but not quite as distinct as that. It was definitely, Katie's movie. We were mostly from
Yeah.
Katie's perspective.
Also, like the dad and Katie, they're the artists, and when Aaron and Mom, they're drawing on cardboard, just letters and things. Like I was trying to think of like other um, opportunities to be creative. It's like Mom's cupcakes, right? Look
Mhm.
not appealing. Yeah. And okay, again, that's one of those things I'm gonna have to look back and see, because I'm trying to remember when we did see those flashbacks.
There were also, other parts where it's like they were, looking back when she was younger and everything. It's like they had a different vibe going on, so it's sort of visually denoted that we were doing a flashback. That's kinda cool.
Yeah. Cool. All right, what else is on your list?
What else is on my list?
Is that it?
Um,
I think I covered
what else?
everything I wanted to cover about the movie. I don't know. Did I mention that it's fun and I think people should watch it and then it looks really good? Did I mention those things?
It's fun. You should watch it, and it looks really good.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure we said
Uh,
that.
okay, what else do I want? I want to touch on that. Katie is at the end of the movie. She is dating a girl, so we've got some queer representation there.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
Mm-hmm.
Also adds to the whole her feeling like she doesn't fit in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, and that nobody gets her. Like that adds an extra vibe to it when the queerness becomes clear. What else? Uh, okay, I guess my biggest critique
Mm-hmm.
is that I felt that they over softened the Mark Bowman pal CEO character and his relationship to the technology and the technology's relationship to other people. I get that it wasn't the purpose of the movie. The purpose of the movie was focusing on the family, and the aspect about talking about social media and our maybe over reliance on social media and technology was secondary themes to the family themes. But I felt like they made maybe a cowardly choice in making the bad guy was not the CEO, it was the robot itself, distinct from him. He was just as surprised as everybody else.
Yeah.
Um,
they made very clear statements, and again, the fact that he's named Mark, right, and
mhm.
is like, oh, is that not a Mark Zuckerberg reference, right? He
That
literally,
was the other thing is the choice, like, voiced by Eric Andre, which is great, but the choice to make that character this super powerful CEO of a multi-bajillionaire company was not a white dude, I
oh,
felt was
I'll get
maybe
into
an
the race part.
interesting intentional choice
I'll get
that I
into
was
the
not super pleased about,
I'll get to the
but
race stuff in a second.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's like my biggest complaint is basically I felt like low key, this movie has a little bit of propaganda where it's all like, actually, like, Apple is good and Facebook is good, and,
I didn't feel that
like,
way at
if it
all.
goes bad, like, it's because, like, like, one robot is gonna get upset and, like, I don't know. It felt a little too cheesy for me. I
I,
do understand that was, like I said, it was not the focus, so I get why they would not prioritize that
I
aspect.
disagree strongly. I think that they attacked the tech industry hard within the the tone of the movie, right? Like nothing here is very serious. Everything is playful. So even the things that are the most important, everything is kind of in a family movie, children's movie way. Like nothing,
Mhm.
there's nothing here is traumatic. Nothing here,
Yeah.
nobody here gets hurt, right? Like people are going through physical things that people would die, right? And nobody even gets a scratch on them, right? Like everything is played for jokes. And I feel
Mhm.
that within that, they went like they were explicit in like, oh, this is this is dangerous. Right? It's almost like playing out some of those fears. But I think that in like at the end, like he's not in jail. There's no consequences. We don't know. And like 3 weeks later, the whole world is apparently back to normal. Everything
Yeah.
is cool. So I mean, that fits into the tone of the film in a way. But I was surprised. I think it went farther than I expected it to, in terms of that. Yeah.
I wanted a little bit further.
I think it could have. I mean, it could have gone further, right? But it went further than I even thought it would. Because
Yeah.
I can imagine. I can imagine like my niece watching that, who's 10, 11 years old, or even my nephew, and when the guy's like, maybe I shouldn't have done this, right? Like maybe that was a problem. The father's like, yeah, I could see my nephew like yelling at the screen, like, yeah, that's not a good thing. And then me feeling like, one day,
Mm.
maybe he'll take down Facebook. Maybe my
Just,
nephew will be the one. I don't know how to do
as
it.
he's drifting off to sleep, just destroy capitalism,
Destroy capitalism. So
eat the rich.
yeah. So I mean, I don't think it. I think it did more, and I'm surprised by when like a Netflix show has a Netflix dig, right? Like Netflix is like also a giant company that's using people's data, right? For
Yes,
um,
absolutely.
they're nobody's as evil as Facebook, and I hope I wish ill upon Facebook numerous times a day, and
Facebook, Amazon, Google, they're all sort of hanging out at the top.
they're all yeah, but there's like a special flavor, it's like you have a
Facebook has
club.
this Facebook has this special aspect of, like, from its inception, it was kind of gross, and so it's only, like, grown from
Yeah,
there.
yeah. But you know, like how
So
when you
yeah.
have like a group of friends and you're all doing something, and then someone comes in and like just goes too hard and embarrasses everybody else, and you're like,
Yes.
oh, we're all like,
That's Facebook.
I think that's Facebook, right? They're all like, yo, like we're trying to make money, we're trying to do things. It's like you took it too far. Like why did you do
You're
that?
making the rest of us look
You're
bad.
making the rest of us look bad. We'd be able to get away with so much more. That's how I feel about Facebook.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah. But now, and I don't understand this part. When at the end they said, "Oh, the real Mitchell family," and then they showed pictures of this real Mitchell family. I have no idea what that is. I haven't looked it up. But yeah, the family who saves the world is white. The what is it? The Posies would be the antagonist family, right?
Sort of, yeah.
Like they're not the bad
I don't
guys.
know,
They're not
they're not
villains, but they're definitely like
they
there's like an antagonistic relationship, right? They're supposed to be the opposite in many ways, and at the end,
yeah.
they make them look stupid, right? It's like the whole like, I'll follow you on Instagram. It's like they're not supposed to. There's no redeeming qualities in them, right? They're a joke also, and then the villain, who I understand that what you're saying, like they offset the villain role in a way from like they took the responsibility on and they put it on Pal instead of on Mark. But like Mark
people.
Mark caused all of this, right? Yeah, no, that's true. But like Mark caused all of this, and
Well,
yeah,
yeah, and that's part of it too, is instead of it being like it's not just one person, it is a series of systems that require to cause suffering in order to do well. But having it be it's just Pal, the one whose voice we hear, or it's just Mark, the CEO, who is the face of the company, instead of being like, no, no one person is responsible for this kind of thing.
I don't know. I feel like because of the way that he's cruel to Pal. To me, it's like they're telegraphing that this is, look what happens if you're cruel to even machines have feelings, right? If I'm trying to see it from that perspective. And in like I think the only, like, you can even say that Pal has like that story where she's like, oh, like I thought I mattered to you, and then you discarded me and you replaced me. You had me built my replacement. She makes that joke about like you designed my replacement on my face, and then the way he just threw, like,
tossed her.
She has a story where she's actually hurt. Like, we can understand her.
Yeah.
Like, there's no depth to the reason why Mark created these death machines, right? Or like, he caused the apocalypse, and he he knows it. But yeah.
Oh, I have the quote. It's almost like stealing people's data and giving it to a hyper-intelligence AI as part of an unregulated tech monopoly was a bad thing.
Yeah. But to the point I was trying to make now, the heroes are a white family, the antagonist family is not white, and the villain is also not white, and
yeah,
you can't unsee that.
Oh,
so I don't understand why the Mitchell. What's the real Mitchell thing at the end?
So I think, and I was Googling to try and confirm this, but I think what it is since the director and co-writer, Mike Rianda. Rianda. I don't know. I apologize if I missed.
Is he the voice of Aaron?
He is the voice of Aaron, and I think it's his family. Because then they show the voice actor's family, like Danny McBride sitting with his wife and children and stuff like that. So I think that's what it is. But turns out if you just Google the real Mitchell's image, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. That whole thing is odd. Yeah, I mean, and Maya Rudolph isn't white, and the character looks more like Maya Rudolph than not. But so, I mean, there can be some brown ambiguity.
There is some ambiguity in brownness,
but that doesn't make. But like, if all your antagonists are people of color.
If your one explicitly black dude is the bad guy, it's questionable. It should have been questioned.
It just I've come to accept that, you know what, if I'm drawing a character, if I'm writing a character, I understand that my first instinct might be to make that character like me. I understand that. That goes on to the hero part. It doesn't translate to the villain part, right? Like, there's no why? What is the choices that you made? For a moment at the end, I was like, oh, is there a real Mitchell? Like, okay, does this explain the racism I'm seeing throughout the entire movie? Is this like based on a true story, and there's an actual Mark that was like, did something, and they want, like, what? No, I don't know. This doesn't. Yeah. No.
Okay, I have confirmed. It is the director's family.
Okay. So that's weird. So they're not.
So he based these characters off of his own family.
Okay. But who did he base the Posies and Mark on?
Well, I'm gonna say the voice actors that played the Posies. It works as just a one-to-one.
If it's Mike Andre
reference.
Yeah. No, that's true. And Katie Teagan
and then you like, I know how common the name Mark is, but like, that was a choice. Like, this is definitely a Zuckerberg situation.
Yeah. See, so that's why I think like no, like I think they're at the very least poking fun, right? Like I think their position is very clear on it. But even the whole thing with Monchi, right?
Monty.
Yeah. Even though that is like that's a good dig. It's like, oh yeah, no, computers are stupid. Like they are not able. Like they're impressive
Even
at some things,
I
and other
can't
things
tell
are
pugs.
like, yeah.
I can't tell pugs apart from loaves of bread sometimes. They're very similar.
Yeah, no, I mean you're not wrong. It's hard, but yeah, again, fun, but definitely worth pointing out. In case you didn't notice, now you know. If you didn't know, now you know. Okay, I'm sure we covered all the points now on the phenomenon of the week.
Yeah, I think that was all of the main thoughts that I had. I hope that people will come into the Discord and tell me their opinions about this movie
Yeah.
because I always appreciate that.
Yes. You can talk to us about all sorts of stuff on Discord and our other community spaces, which you can find information on in the show notes. For more Geek Therapy, visit geektherapy.org. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to geek out and do good. I'll be back next week
For our 300th episode.
I can't take the pressure. Don't bring it up. I'm not. It's too much
Wee
pressure.
woo, wee woo.
It's too much pressure. Bye.
Bye.